All right. So, this is my picture when I was 21 years old in Vietnam, Saigon, now Ho Chi Minh City. And I'm a golf pro in the golf pro shop. Uh, Somebody had to do it. So, after 6 months as a company clerk, like Radar in the movie MASH, if you ever saw that movie, doing all the typing and personnel records and payroll. Um, I had a mental breakdown and had three of them. And so that now I was kind of interested um, that the way the military deals with their coaching you is they give you a big needle right in the butt and they knock you out for 3 days. And they figure if you get enough rest, you can go back into your job or battle or whatever. So they did that 3 times. I never actually, well, I actually saw a doctor at the end of the 3 days, and he said, "Are you feeling okay, Sergeant Boje?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I'm feeling good. Do you feel you're ready to go back to work?" And I said, "Yes." And then looking just like this, I went back to work. And then within a week, I would uh, have another, oh, I guess, break with reality. And then after, and they'd take me back again, like manhandle me to all my buddies in the barracks and uh, top sergeant. They would haul me in, and then nurse would take down my pants again and give me the big shot, and I'd be out for 3 days. So I guess what happened is I don't really know, but I did stop sleeping, and I I didn't know you could crack at 21, you know? I thought you had to be much older, you know, but you can, or at least I could. So I'm introducing the notion that we all wear masks when we're at work, and Elizabeth was describing the masks she sees in my face. I wonder if you just describe it again, Elizabeth, if you'd be so kind.
Sure. So when you showed me that, when the picture first came up, the first thing I saw was your eyes were kind of fixed and open. So that to me says trauma, very complex trauma, not just like one traumatic event, but also the sides of your face don't match. So what happens when we start to split is our face will actually, one side will look different than the other. And people study this. To see kind of if someone's actually integrated or genuine or telling the truth, because a lot of people will have like the persona, the mask, and then they'll have their true selves. So usually one side of the face is the mask, the other side of the face is the true self. And I can see that from my perspective, I mean, I'm looking straight at you. The left side of your face is higher than the right.
Hmm.
Um, the left side of us is energetically the feminine, the right side is energetically the masculine. Your right eye is open much more than your left, and even the left side of your mouth is kind of up a little bit more, and I can tell your jaw is up a little bit more.
Now, when you
Um,
say,
s-
yeah, are you looking at my left eye, or are you looking
well,
at
I mean,
from your vantage point?
so you know, the picture's looking at me, so when I say left eye, it's really your right, because the picture is
Okay,
looking
so
at
it's on
me.
my left side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
the sides of your face, when I see people and this one side of their face looks a lot different than the other, that tells me that they are split. There's two different personalities or two different personas that they're carrying. So the mask that you're talking about is actually very true right here. You've been through a great deal at that age. I can see it in your face. There's a lot of pain in your eyes.
Yeah, I had, PTSD from a lot of reasons, but I had it before the military with when my mother and dad split, and then I looked like my dad, and my mother was very, she was deserted for an 18-year-old again and again by my dad. And after a couple of child payments, we were flat broke and went on welfare. And I was 14 years old. And she was on tranquilizers. And she used to whack me like, don't jump when I do this, but like that, over and over again, come around behind me and just catch me from behind. And she was a beautiful woman, but big boned, and she was an athlete in high school, played basketball. Anyway, she could knock you out in one punch. And so I sort of split myself, as you're saying, into having an eye out for on guard, and then my true self. And so then in the military during the war zone, and then I had a squad, a machine gun, a grenade launcher, guys with M16s and M14s. And, you know, I didn't see heavy combat, but I did experience the birth of my daughter when I was overseas. And so I kind of lost it, and I stopped sleeping. I was just working. You would work from 4 a.m. as a company clerk till 6 at night. And it's not too bad, but um, 7 days a week. And I really took the job serious. I guess I could say one other thing that stands out is I had a captain, Brise, that was a super heavyweight weightlifter. And he used to come behind me when I was sitting like this, but when I was a clerk and I had the fatigues on, and he would punch me right in the back of the head, say, keep typing. You stop typing, keep typing. So I typed, now's the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Now's the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Now's the time for all, like probably a million times in 6 months. Um, and he was kind of a bully, but I was used to being hit in my first PTSD, so it didn't really bother me that much. It just made you want to keep the mask on, like pretending you were busy, because if you weren't busy, you'd get hit. And I will say he wasn't a West Point graduate. He's one of those instant officers in ROTC. Anyway, I guess I'm showing you that because I wanted to get into a couple of exercises today. And I wasn't going to do this now, but I am going to show you something. Um, all right. I think it's here somewhere. So we're all wearing masks at work. Some of us wear a mask to be perfect, and some of us wear a mask to be nice all the time, and some wear a mask to be absolutely professional, and some wear a mask of dependency, or some wear a mask to just be unnoticed and to kind of fall in line. Um, and we've looked before at inner critic or being super competent as a coach or a consultant, being withdrawn or protector. So everybody has their own masks, and I think it's very rare you get your true self out. Um, I've seen it in the sessions we've had on Mondays with, I won't name them, but I've seen people, including myself, come out with their true self. And it looks different than the mask. And so you grow up, I grew up as a survival consciousness with my awareness defined reactively, performance roles based on trauma, societal pressure, and just being in a household of strangers. My dad was World War II and Korea War and had PTSD, and he's kind of pretty aggressive. He taught jujitsu and judo on Douglas MacArthur's aircraft carrier, and he didn't hit you, but man, he would scream at you till your eyes rattled, you know. And my mother, she was physical, and they would fight, and it could get bloody. He wouldn't hit her, but she would bloody his nose. And when he left, she'd bloody me. So, but I love her. I want you to tell I forgave her, you know. I mean, that's part of you're going to grow up. You got to forgive people that do dastardly things. And you got to understand that she was abused sexually by her stepfather multiple times, taken to the wood, an actual woodshed, locked in there hours and hours each week, waiting for whatever to come. And just treated awfully. But then you got to understand he was Native American, ripped out of his tribe. He grew up in the native school, missionary schools where they took away your, cut your hair, took away your language, took away your culture. He was mad. He was just angry. And, I remember being with him as a young boy. Anyway, so you're in a household full of strangers performing their masks. So you have my dad pretending to be a genius and a nice guy, but mostly just in bars, couldn't stand to be in the house. And then my mother trying to be the good mother by me keeping everything clean and cooking things well. I think I told you before, and I won't dwell on it, but neither one of them hugged me until I was 21 years old. I think that's contributed to me uh, reacting as I did in Vietnam. And anyway, so that's the mask of Sergeant Boje on the right, and me still in a mask on the left. It's interesting. It's about the only photo I kept of the Vietnam era. Hey, I learned to be a good teacher. I was so scared that I was mentally ill, which I probably am, uh, that I started reading a book a day. The nice thing about being a golf pro is you have an hour, well, you have several hours after you pass out the green fees. People pick up their clubs for rental, which is free, by the way. And then they go away and you got hours to do nothing. So I read, and then they bring back the equipment in the afternoon, and you got hours until dinner. So I started reading one book a day, which is kind of ironic because um, I didn't really go to high school much. I think I went 3 or 4 days. Well, either I was late or absent. They graduated me anyway because I'm pretty sure they wanted to get rid of me. And so there I was after the Army. And so I said, I got to stop being in the Army. And I was due to be stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And they had a program. You could get out of the Army 4 months early if you went to school. So I'd never been to college, really. And I didn't finish high school. But I took them up on it and still being terrified. I think in that picture on the left, you can kind of see it. I I just would interview I just acted like Radar the clerk, that was my mask. So I interviewed all my teachers before the class started. I got all the assignments that I could. I started drafting the essays that were due for kind of English courses, and then I started doing tests for math, calculus courses, etc., which was quite a jump. And I graduated first in my class because I was so terrified of failing. I don't know. That's not the picture I was going to show you. It was I've started to try to figure out how we trap our identity in masks, and at a very low level of awareness that I was in at the time. This is not for everybody. This is just for me. Um, my body was a machine, so I was working out and jogging every day and keeping fit, making sure I slept. I had a very survival orientation as a professor. When I became a professor or as a student, I had to be first in my class in every class. I had to win every argument. I had to speak up in class, every class. That was because I had been a very quiet kid in life, because if you spoke, you could be hit. And I actually didn't speak in high school. When they said to a couple of times I went to class, do you know the answer to this equation? And I did, I would just shake my head. I refused to be in the spotlight. So, you see me now and I'm always in the spotlight, but that's still that survival thing. And then time is linear. I was stuck in a rigid timeline. Like before, I was in trauma. I had 2 PhDs, and now I'm unable to heal. And then the place is always territorial fear. Who's there? Who's a potential threat? What are the costs of what I'm doing? And then relations were pretty transactional. So my marriage kind of broke apart. My kids hated me. And I would say it's only the last decade or so I've kind of flipped, well, since I married Grace Ann 30 years ago. So it's been 30 years, and I've gotten out of the transactional relationships. So this is the basic level of existence. And what I've done is try to map my own wounds and landscape it. And I know a lot of people out there have been through a lot of things, but I don't know many people who had PhD before they went into the military and then got it again after the military and got divorced and broke down again during the divorce. And then had stage 4 cancer. I was actually told I had a few months to live because I had a very high score on the prostate exam, and they said it was into the lymph nodes, and it was a 10-point scale is a 26. So like I said, I started to forgive my mother. I realized that she wasn't hitting me, she was acting against her stepdad. And then, like I said, I didn't hug her, but I would visit her once a year, and she would hug me. Well, no, she would never hug me. I would hug her like this, clasp my hands together as tight as I could, and she would break apart within 3 seconds. That's how much that woman couldn't stand a hug. And my dad actually hugged me first when I was 21. He'd never been hugged either. His dad was World War I PTS, well, they called it that shock from all the explosions. And battle fatigue, that's what they called it. So he hugged me. He said he went with his 18-year-old girlfriend to I'm okay, you're okay coaching. and they convinced him that he should be hugging his children. And I wished he would have done that like, 20 years earlier. But anyway, probably would have changed our whole life. That was my score on a 10-point scale on cancer. So what I started to do is build an understanding of how we do stories. And usually we tell who we are and what we're about and when such and such happened and where it happened and why and with whom and our wish for the future. That's my categories. Then I had a revelation that I'm not going to have time to go through today. I'm just going to stay with one topic, but um, I found out that when people tell you who they are, I had a guest this morning. I asked who she was. I won't disclose that. It was before taping, but uh, I wondered what level she was going to talk to me about. Was it going to be at a high spiritual level? I send that to voicemail. Sorry about that. Anyway, so there's levels that we have, like the beneath level, we're still in the mask level, and that's the one I showed you before. And then at a being level, at a heart level, we're from our heart's feelings. And when I work with veterans, I learned that to watch the breathing people are doing, yeah, the veterans and the family members. I coach families and veterans and first responders, firemen, police, what have you. Um, why? Because I've been where they may be at, maybe even deeper, maybe not as deep. But I've noticed that when I was working with vets, when I was a professor at UCLA, I became a professor at UCLA eventually. Uh, right after, during the Vietnam era, I'd have people do an exercise in the class, and some of the veterans would actually flip out at the unstructuredness of an exercise. I mean, pick up chairs and start throwing them through windows in a classroom, in a room full of MBA economists at UCLA. So I had to learn how to deal with them. You go and you take them into the hallway so they're not in front of other people, and you say, we got to talk. And you try to hold on to them a little bit, not aggressively, but maybe just hushing. And I try to get them to breathe the way I breathe. So one of the exercises we'll do today is called matching your breathing to somebody's talking. Um, and this is an exercise. We're going to start with a simpler exercise, but it's exercise in coaching to match your tempo of breathing with the tempo of speech of the other person and the tempo of breathing and the body language of the other person. Because in order to calm somebody down who's hyper and just twisted, you have to get control of yourself as a coach and pull it down, you know? Now, when you're trying to persuade, you bring it up, your tempo of your speech, your breathing. But if you want to build rapport, which you have to build trust with people to bring them out of their masks, you have to match what they are, where they're at. So it doesn't do you any good to be very assertive with somebody who's level one and hiding behind a mask of trauma because they're in survival mode. And anything you do that is assertive will be taken as aggressive. So you lower your voice, you go more monotone, you drop it way down, you do more listening than talking, and you try to put them in control. This is something we've been teaching for last year, but it's to let the person, hi Joy, let the person make the choices in the coaching situation, not you. That's that's consulting. Consulting, you sell them a bunch of choices, and they don't really make choices. You make choices. You're the expert, so you come off professional. You're in the professional mask. You got the expertise. You da 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 da. But as a coach, when you're dealing with somebody at level one, it I found out it works better and you get less arguments, less negativity if you just come into their breathing and their pace and use their words instead of your own words. An expert uses expert words. A coach mimics the person that they're coaching with the language they're using, etc. So we're going to practice that. And in becoming, we can start to raise awareness as their trust builds and we go through the coaching process. So I won't go through all that. But I will tell you that I've written a book during the break. Uh, I'm a fast writer. If you type a million times, now it's time for all good men come to aid country, now it's time for all good men country, you're going to become a pretty fast typist and you're going to be able to write quickly. Um, so these are called the seven centers of healing. And it's the last of the series of seven sessions. We did a session on each of these, and today is the beyond. So at the end of the session, I'll show you a little bit about the beyond, which is the more spiritual, transcendent approach. But I'm going to start with the basic level in the exercise. So I'm going to do an exercise with you. I hope that's enough of an introduction. Oh, hi, Doug. Oh, there's actually people here, Ken and everybody. Yeah, so I'm going to make a transition and do an exercise if that's cool. Uh, I hope so. And otherwise, I don't know what we'll be doing today. Now, let's get my Zoom back. So in this exercise, I'm going to get my screen back so I can find myself. Uh, there it is. And it's covering my other window. So that's what's wrong. So let me try it again. Okay. I had to go chase down my own instructions. So, all right. So what I'd like you to do is grab a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen. So find one. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. Because I need to walk you through it before I put you in breakout. Because there's several instructions to follow. And while you're getting a pen and paper together, I'll just tell you the instructions. Uh, in the breakout, you'll be in groups of three, but for now, you're going to be one big group, and I'll be doing the demo as person A. But in the breakout, you'll be person A, B, and C. Um, you're going to just do one word, like you're going to say a word of an activity. Could be jogging, driving, reading, watching a movie, painting a picture, making something with your hands, etc. But it has to be one that you actually have experienced. And it's a kind of an activity where you have a deep involvement. Okay, so I'll do that in a second. While that's going on, and the person A will give one word like jogging, but then they can only say one sentence about it. And then there'll be 1 minute of silence. And then persons B and C, which in your case is everybody on the screen but me, they'll write down um, filling in the blanks because a sentence won't give you very much info about the story. But you're going to do what we do all the time is use your creative visualization, your kinesthetics, right? And your auditory self-talk. So you're going to do Boje, Doug. Doug, this is a test, so I want to make sure you get it right, you know? All right. So I'll define them a little bit for you, for those that are new. Um, so the visual is when that person says the word jogging, what do you visualize? When the person gives one sentence about jogging, what do you visualize is happening? They're not going to tell you much because it's one sentence. And then the second thing is the kinesthetic. So we'll call that the five senses. How are your five senses activated? Your sensory, you're seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. So those five senses, what what in your creative mind ticks off as a story? You won't get it from their sentence too much. In fact, their sentence might throw you off, you know? So this is called reading between the lines or filling in the gaps of a story with what's called collective consciousness. And what is that? That is um, when we as humans try to understand a story, we fill in the blanks with what everybody knows. So everybody knows that jogging, you're probably touching the ground. You're probably moving your arms and legs. You may be indoors or outdoors. We don't know yet. Um, you're probably breathing. You may be aware of the scenery. Um, you might be aware of the pace you have, things like that. So you're going to be aware, but mostly jogging is, let's assume it's not your first time. Maybe you've jogged 1,000 times. And so you're not thinking too much about it and you're not feeling too much about it. And your sensory is not too active and you're just kind of in a daze, you know. Of course, then the chemical stuff's going off in your brain and you get a big high from the jog and all that. But, you know, um, so I've given you way too much information about jogging. So let me pick something else. Movies. Here's my sentence, and then you will have 1 minute to write. So I want you to all close your eyes and don't write right now. You're only going to close your eyes. I will give you the word. I will give you a sentence, and I'll ask you to open your eyes and write for 1 minute. Okay, and I'll keep time. All right. Movies. At Christmas, I only watch Christmas movies. It reminds me of the childhood I never had. You have 1 minute to write. Open your eyes. Okay, stop. All right. The way the exercise will go in your breakouts, and I've sent you the instructions in your chat if you want to print it out because it's got some detail in it. Anyway, person A says one word and one sentence. Persons B and C close their eyes, use their creative imagination and write down the fill in the blanks using Boje, visual, kinesthetic, and auditory self-talk. Wow. The next part of the exercise, we'll act out so you know that what part 4 is. Person A then closes their eyes, that would be me, and stays silent while B and C, that will, in this case, that would be all of you, because since we're doing a trial run, share 2 or 3 of your written sentences. So it's not a time to ad lib. And you will note how I react. So I'm on your screen. I'll close my eyes for about a minute, and maybe Ken, you could tell me when a minute's up. Um, and or you no, I'll close the eyes all during the time you talk, all of you. So you all talk, 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 talk. And then when you're done talking, Ken will tell me so I'm not just sitting here with my eyes closed. All right. And what I want you to look at is what changes you see in my face while you're talking. And I'm going to try not to change my face. So it's open. All right. Does that seem clear? Do you want me to repeat it? So you're all going to take turns talking about filling in the blanks of my little one sentence. And then you're going to share those. And you're also going to keep tabs on me while you're not talking. Why, does that make sense? So it's an exercise in observing while you're coaching me. Okay. On your mark, get set, go. Somebody be first, okay?
I'll
I'll
jump
go.
in.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm
No, go,
sorry.
go ahead. You first.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I saw or I heard with your sentence that some amount of pain, kind of a wistfulness is something that you had hoped for, kind of a societal mask, since we're talking about masks today, what all of us think the perfect Christmas should be, and just the sadness around not necessarily having that type of Christmas. That's me.
Okay. Hi, I'll go. So, I just continued a bit of the dialogue that you had started about watching Christmas movies. The Christmas movies are so comforting to me, and I look forward to them every year. I feel so happy while I'm watching them. I'm able to create feelings that I so longed for as a child. That's it.
Oh, Jack.
You talked about Christmas movies. Right away, I thought about my favorite Christmas movie, A Miracle on 34th Street, the most recent edition with Richard Attenberg, and Dylan, whatever his name is. It was the one that was made around 1994. And when I watched that movie, for me, it's so emotional that everything that they say all the way through the movie is like poetry. And it just unfolds with the music and the feelings. And I mean, it's like the most poetic piece of artwork that I could imagine. It just, melts me. down to nothing. That's all I have.
And time, 1 minute.
Oh, you can keep sharing, Ken, so everybody gets a chance, unless they don't want to. Is that okay?
Jillian, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, what I wrote is it reminded me of the movie Christmas Story, the one with the little boy who got the BB gun.
Can't hear you.
Oh. Is this better? Nope. Okay. Is this better now? Can you hear me now?
Barely.
You know? Oh my goodness. Maybe I'm having some technical trouble. Let's see.
Maybe you should go, Carol.
I put my volume on as high as it go, and I can hear Jillian. But if you want me to go, I will. I continued, and it makes me want to give that experience to others physically, feeling happiness and peace, appreciation and desire to pass it on.
I'll go next. And we'll see what a different spin people can put on this. I am a trained evaluator and a Virgo, so critiquing comes easy to me. Not much of a movie watcher, I tend to watch so many movies during the holidays, and there is so much to see twinkle and so much to critique.
I will go if there's no one else. I think for me, the moment you said movies, I wrote down the soundtrack of the movie is often gentle. Usually it's all about Europe and cold and white, but our country, South Africa, is out of sync, out of line. There's no white Christmas. We've got a green Christmas, despite all the songs and everything. And then going into what one touches is sometimes I was just thinking of wrapping sellotape and trying to open that sellotape when it gets stuck on the roll and you're scratching it with your nail and you're trying to open it. And then eventually you get a piece of sellotape and then you bite it between your teeth and you're ready to wrap a gift.
I see Jimmy Stewart standing on an icy bridge in black and white, thinking about jumping off, and how his life turned around. That's it.
I took the delight of returning to a pleasant past. I see the movie, or I like to see movies that remind me of, that regenerate, that evoke a past that I once was in, which was without pain. My brain jumped to another movie, not a Christmas movie, A League of Their Own. And the key song in that movie, This Used to Be My Playground, sung by Madonna. And same nostalgic yearning for the story that I once was in. And the story that when I was in it, I was fully present. And that sense of, I, it's like suspended animation, motion, but it's motion that's frozen, and it's in a positive way. And I've been alert to the expression on David's face as we've been going through this to see, did anything trigger smiles on David's face? And that has occurred, but I'm trying to do too many things at once. Anyhow, I hope this is what we're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure that I'm following the rules, but that's what I have to say.
And is that everyone?
Last call. Time.
Where's Jillian? Is she still there? Or did she go?
Olivia, I'm here, but my computer crashed, so I'm next to Tom, but I'll read you what I wrote.
Go ahead, please.
I feel like the movies take me out of my own thinking. Movies ignite emotions I don't expect.
Okay, thank you all. Appreciate that very much. You did well. So let me debrief a little bit with you. So I wanted you to reflect on what kinds of things in Person A, that's my performance, did that allow you to fill in the blanks of consciousness with your own created experience visually, kinesthetically, auditorily, self-talk. So we heard those. Ken, did we hear from you? I'm not sure.
In a public space, can't talk.
Okay, no problem. I just want to check on you, dude. And then what kinds of things in Person A's performance did seem to make it easier or hinder or make it harder, incongruous, non sequiturs. Like I think I said something about I watched the movies to experience the childhood I never had or something to that effect. And that might have thrown you off because that might not be why you watch Christmas movies or don't watch them. There is a sense of that what I said could be, the third point, jarring, because it's not exactly what you expect somebody to say about Christmas. But for me, it's true. And what this may not work, but can you think back to when I said the word movies and then said the sentence about Christmas movies, and what led you to be more relaxed or anxious about that. Like I remember, Paul, you said you weren't sure you're following instructions with what you wrote and things like that. Other people recalled specific movies, but didn't really connect to my story. And other people made connections to the stories that I could understand. So that was interesting to me. So there are, see if I can find the other exercises. All right. So what I'd like you to do is go into breakout and do the same exercise again. Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 9. So there'll be 3 groups. That'll give us time for, there'll be a person A, pick a kind of event that you're familiar with, you know, movies, jogging, making art piece, writing something. And then you're going to say one sentence. And then you're going to close your eyes while people share back what they did, but you're going to time them for a minute so they have at least a minute to write. B and C has a minute to write, and then B and C will share, and A will sort of not move much. And then after this, we'll do one with the eyes open. That's what we'll just have person A have the eyes closed. So then you switch roles, da da da, and so everybody will be person A. Everybody will be in the B or C role at least a couple times. All right, that makes sense. So you're just going to say a word like jogging, and then you're going to say, "When I jog, I am not aware of anything but jogging." So whatever that is for you, you know, and you say some other word, you know, like art. So I'm interested in those experiences where you kind of go off into a different space, you know. That's kind of it. Anyway, and then B and C, you're going to try to get in touch with that story, but you're going to have to embellish it, fill in the blanks to get a sense of the person because you're a coach. So you're there to hear that person's story. But if they're shut down, you're not going to get very much from them. And unless you're an intuitive, you're not going to get very far, you know, and you may not know what to ask. So that's why we're starting here. Hope that's clear. So you have instructions in your chat, so I don't need to send them to you, and I'll be in a room with you. So we'll go about 15 minutes and try to get a sense of, you know, about 5 minutes around. And does that make sense? And off you go. I will send you to breakouts. Ken, are you going to be able to participate in a breakout? There's no recording or anything. Okay. All right.
Olivia and I are on the same computer, David.
Well, you'll be in the same breakout. You'll have to work it out. How's that? 3, 3. One more. Okay. Let's see how it put you. Let's see where it put you, Olivia. Carol. Okay, that's one. Oh, I see what Tom says. He's in the same computer. Okay. Oh, okay. So you're both in room 3. Okay. And then there's 3 people in room 1 and 3 people in room 2. And I don't need to go in the room. I get to sit this one out. Okay. So I'll be the timer. All right. So you're down for 15. Mark, set, go. You find the button and push it. Hey, no, good to join us. Hmm. So right now everybody's in breakouts and they're doing the second exercise, which is kind of a repeat of the first time, but this time person A tells more of the story. Doesn't have to be a particular word, just a little bit about themselves, but not their whole life story, not longer than a minute. And then B and C try to be in a consulting role or coaching role, actually, and um, fill in the blanks of the story. So it's a person new in a relationship with them, and there's trust building going on, and they're trying to really tune in to the client's biofeedback and their own biofeedback, what the body language is, the voice space, auditory cues, etc. And they're going to match it. I've asked them to match it in their own responses that they give and see if that's possible. And so they're going to have about 10 minutes and then I'll come back and we'll debrief it a little bit. I hope you're having a good time. Thank you very much. Well, welcome back. I hope the exercises were enlightening and fun today. And we're run out of time. I'm going to try to do one more thing with you and let you talk a little bit. So I think that's always fun. All right. So this is what's called the VAK. It's from a book I got at the local bookstore called Transformations, and another one called Frogs into Princes. They're by Richard Bandler and John Crinder. They were one of the original people to develop the VAK, the visual auditory kinesthetic. I wanted to show you this because there's no charts out there anywhere I can find for left-handed people, and evidently there's been no empirical research on left-handed people. All it says is mostly they've studied right-handed people, and many left-handers have adapted to the right-handed world. But I went ahead and created my own chart, which I will make available to you because I thought Olivia, you would enjoy this probably as much as many people because we've gone through the training of the visual auditory kinesthetic, and we've learned that when people are particularly right-handed and visually go up to the left, that they're constructing images in their mind to make up for the images they don't have from your story. And their auditory constructions goes a little bit that way, that they're constructing the sounds and words, and the kinesthetic, the feelings, the smells, the tastes, etc., the sensory. And then on the right-hand side, visual up is remembering images. Center is auditorial sounds, if the eye darts that way. Or down to the right is the auditory sounds and words, also called the digital. So that's training I had for months with the consulting group. But I think it's relevant to Boje because if we can watch the eyes, and I wanted to share with you the left-handed chart, and I will try to put these in the chat for you so that you have them. But go ahead and tell me how was the exercise, and next week I want to give some room for Jack to say that Jack is on next week. Maybe Jack's not here anymore, but Jack is on next week. How was the exercise? Did you like it? Was it difficult? Did you learn anything? Uh, am I fired or what? What's your deal here?
I liked it. I learned something.
Yeah, what'd you learn?
The part of it that involved matching breathing, the tempo. I had to I had to really exert myself to do that, and it was instructive because I said, "Ooh, I'm not sure I'm doing this right," and I'm just using trying not to think at all and saying, "Oh, match my breathing to their breathing." Uh, Inward, that was very instructive. And I have more to learn, a whole lot more.
Hey, we all got a lot to learn. So I'm going to change my role in Growth OD and only come on once a month or so. And the next 4 sessions are booked, and I'll come on after that. And then I'm going to concentrate on the Friday once a month with Doug and Tanya. And I've been burning the candle at both ends, and I decided I did turn 78, and I need to take my time so that I don't burn it out too quickly. You know what I mean? So we got plenty of good leaders here in the steering group. I already talked to Ken and Olivia and a bit to Tom. So is that okay with you guys? Can you self-manage? And I will be here from time to time, but not every time.
Well, I'll talk with Olivia and Tom. I think we want to recruit one more person for the executive committee, and then figure out how we will manage the scheduling and documentation for the Mondays. But yeah, we got the handoff.
All right. So I love you all, and I really get a lot from being with you, but I can't do like this week. There's a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday session, and I'm going to just have to focus. I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on Tuesdays on the basic research and come once in a while to the Monday applied. So, okay, but Joy, are you going to say something? And Elizabeth, if you'd stay on a little bit after, I'd like to talk to you. Go ahead.
Say hello to Grace Ann. And
Yeah.
About her cadence of attending meetings.
Yeah, she's better at taking care of herself than I am. And we had our 30th anniversary, and we both had the flu, and I had the 3-week version. I just got where I can breathe again. I had my first night laying down, last night in 3 weeks. And she caught it from me, and now she's going to go 3 weeks, and I'm taking care of her. I don't know. When you're older, the flu lasts a lot longer than when I remember it was when I was 20, I just took some NyQuil and back to work. But now it's a different story. Yeah. But I'm healthy, happy, and terrific. So anybody else have a comment about today? I tried to do more exercises and a little bit less of intro stuff. I didn't do a film, but there's a bunch of them out on the website you can watch. They were
But I loved your presentation and how you have mastered the art of using graphics to simplify complex issues. So I compliment you on that.
Thank you.
I'd love to get a copy of this. I don't know if it's on the thing for today, but it was great.
Yeah, you can go to togetherstorying.com. That's my new website. And then that's going to be the background for the Friday monthly session. And we also have a plan to go to Catalina Island for a retreat for veterans and families and first responders. I'm working with somebody out in California on that. It may or may not happen, and we've got a lot of donations, and we're going to try to get some things scheduled in New Mexico for veterans and first responders and family members to come out here and coach them as a family system. And then, well, they'll be with horses. So, Elizabeth, we do things with horses, and then we do the coaching, take them off in a room and do the coaching, you know. So that way the biofeedback is going with the horses and then with the people. And, you know, it's just very expensive stuff to do, and I got to raise money for it. Ken.
I want to, for the record, my spider sense of where we are is that the Monday Growth OD session is shaping up to be in growth OD inspired by the Boje treatment of true storytelling, indigenous ways of knowing, featuring practical work from practitioners that are deeply experiential, that we intend to schedule guest speakers and presenters with their practice that are connected to you in some way, supported by that deep library that I put together. And as an example of that, I sent you all, minus Elizabeth, because I don't have your email, an example of a deep dive into our deep library that integrates Jung's personas, some Western psychology on social roles and connection to Chinese thick-faced black heart, and an example of how the deep library that we have provides connective tissue to the Boje body of knowledge, if I can say it that way. So, and it includes a link to that AI assistant, which you should think of as a library helper that you can query and pull up all sorts of integrating things like that. Boje Days in there. And so that would be my sense of what the Friday session probably is shaping up to look like. Or how
You mean Monday, right? You mean Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, I meant Monday. The Growth
okay.
OD.
Yeah, because Friday, Doug, I hope you don't mind. I did a lot of
day
today, and I was kind of shaping it up so Friday we could kind of do more of that.
Why would I ever mind that you do more Boje?
Well, because you guys invented it, I might be skewing it off to my left-handed sense of.
You know what?
BA.
I always love to get your perspective. That's what
But there's no left-handed charts out there. What's wrong with people? They don't have a left-handed chart. I mean, come on.
You're right. I've already downloaded your 2 charts. I'm very interested in it.
It took me an hour to make that left-handed chart, you know. And that's the other one I sent you is the original chart from page 25 of this book. I think Frogs to Princes. I'm sure that Olivia has a copy in her library. And if you look on page 25, it's the earliest rendition I could find of it, of the right-handed chart, you know.
Perfect. I've already emailed you saying we should just chat for a few minutes this week before the session.
Okay, anytime. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's showing up. I haven't done any marketing. I don't know what's going on. So
yeah, that's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll talk to Elizabeth a little bit. See if I can enroll her Friday.
Thank you, David. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Happy holiday. Merry Christmas. Carol, get back with me. Let's finish your report. Give me a week, though, to get healthy. Yeah, bye. Bye, Joy. You're still #1 Purview coach in my mind.
David, it's top on my list. And Monty and Doug, I need to give you a debrief